Hello, everyone, and welcome to our newest episode of Seed of Faith. We are very happy to have you here. We're excited, and I'm ready to introduce our guest. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, put your hands together for the one and only toast of our show, the main man. Ladies and gentlemen, Keith Perez.
Hello.
Keith, why don't you tell people a little, well, actually, before I say tell people who you are, let me just tell people who you are to me, and then I'll let you kind of feel who you really are instead of just my version of you. Mm-hmm. So right now you are up at Lamont doing worship, leading that up there with your wife.
I am.
And I know you through that because I visit and go up there and worship with you guys like once a month or so, which I'm grateful and blessed to do that. I love that church. It's called The Table, and it's in Lamont, Illinois. Mm-hmm. And it's the cutest. Like, if I could live in a church, I would want to live in your church.
It really is that way.
It's so cool. I would want to make that my house, please.
Yeah.
But it's God's house, so I'm not fighting him for it. But that's how I know you. So I met you through the worship process and just getting you, and you were up there helping lead with your wife, and you're multi-talented, playing all the different musicians, mm-hmm. instruments. I don't know what I'm doing. ADD already, but you're playing all of the instruments and stuff like that. And as I got to know you more, I was like, wait, hold up, you were in Flatfoot 56, and all of a sudden that just opened the door to all kinds of like conversations with you and where you're at now compared to where you were. And so I want you to introduce yourself, but mm-hmm. how I know you is through the worship stuff that I'm doing with you now. But
mm-hmm.
but I also sort of kind of know you in a way, but didn't really know you. But like
mm-hmm.
through the old band days, and we'll get into that. But Keith Perez, I also had a guest on not too long ago. His name was Rodney Perez. I don't think you guys are related, but I just, in case anyone's
Perez,
picking up on all the
yeah.
Perezes, they're like, oh, he just must do the Perez family. Like, there's a lot of Perezes, guys. So
yeah.
I don't know if you guys are related though. But tell us who you are, what you're doing right now, and then we can go into your testimony and all that later.
Yeah, man, you got most of it. I mean, right now I've been at that church up in Lamont, doing leading worship alongside my wife. Really, my wife's been actually leading a lot of it and heading it up. The whole music, like just pulling all the musicians together, mm-hmm. and which used to be actually the other way around. I was doing a lot of the leading and a lot of the orchestrating and the whole thing, man.
Yeah.
And so and leading the worship as well. And so it's kind of it's taken a turn, not taking a turn, but it's now the opposite, where now she's been leading and
mm-hmm.
I've been supporting, which has been awesome. And
I like how you're like, which has been awesome.
Yeah, because she's grown, man. She like. It's cool because there's been a lot of I'll tell you a little bit about. I'll get a little deeper with that because it's actually a deep, kind of a huge 360. Her being able to lead and stuff like that at the church. But for me, like there's, like you said, there's a lot of history with me, rich history in the church. Not even the church, just work, and then just me and my journey with God. Like. Starting from even before high school and stuff like that, playing music, and so that the music in general, like being in bands, as you can see, it led to like me doing stuff with my guys at Flatfoot. Yeah. But even beyond that, like I got some friends who we've done bands together too, like in the hardcore scene. So I did a lot in the hardcore scene. So I'll tell you a little bit about that. I'll also tell you. Yeah, a little bit about the journey. Some of my growing up, like just growing up as a kid, and like learning music and stuff. That's those are big buckets of my life.
You were in the childhood. Music industry, part of it during what I would say like during the boom of like live bands and stuff like that, like where it was getting really cool. So you got to see it. but also now I feel like it's kind of like died away, like of all of that.
It feels like that.
It feels like it,
yeah.
don't it? Kind of feel that way. Like
yeah.
I don't. Maybe it's just we're getting old. I don't know.
Actually, crazy timing. I'll tell you this. Just yesterday, I went to a show. Actually, it's been a while.
A live show.
I did.
Yeah.
Which like I've been a few, but just going and like checking out bands.
Yeah,
it's been
more
like
rare.
lately. I've been doing it a little bit more.
Oh, okay.
But, because it's kind of like full circle. What I've noticed is a lot of the bands now are doing like 20-year reunions and stuff like that.
Okay, that's
I think
true.
we were kind of talking about a little
Yeah.
bit. So
so
it's
true.
kind of like come back around. Where like, man, these guys are coming back. It's like, dude, the nostalgia just
Maybe
hits
that's
and
what
like
it is.
it's like perfect.
The comeback is real. The comeback is real.
yes.
I'm seeing the comeback tours of all these old bands and everything, and like even in the local scene, like they just did like some bands in the area that were popular back in the day that just have not been around, got together. Just I'm talking like local community, you know what I mean? Like just got together again, and it's a reunion, and people in the community get together again, and I'm like, so there's the reunion part of it, which is great because it's actually celebrating like a time that was super fun, like to be alive, like you know that whole music industry time. It wasn't always the most Christian in my life. But that time was a good time. It was like the time of festivals and even Christian festivals. So to shed some light on Flatfoot 56. Okay, so the reason I want to bring them up is because that was my aha moment of like who you were and how far and how deep you go into some of the things that I already knew.
Yeah.
So Flatfoot 56 actually played in Ottawa years and years and years ago. That's when I first knew who they were. This was before even I was in a band or anything. And so they had come. They were one of the featured, Riverfest, one of the featured people that day. And they were like a, don't be upset if I get the genre wrong, but like a ska, Irish kind of. Were they Christian? Were they self-professing Christians? Or was it just like Christians in a band? Okay. Because look, dude, I want to be a total nerd and show you like, dude, I got this that concert. This is super old.
Really?
Yeah.
Hey, that's actually that's a rare deal.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, like because there's been no more reprints of this album, but yeah. Selling that on eBay actually.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe I'll have you sign it. No,
that's actually awesome that you have one of those.
Yeah, like this was my weird aha moment I wanted to do with you, just to show you like when I said I knew who you were. Like I was like, dude, I knew who you were. Like not that you were in the band at this time. I know that you joined later.
Yeah.
But and you know what? For the sake of everybody, let's just show some people right now a little bit of you in some Flatfoot 56 momentum. Ladies and gentlemen, check this out.
Here's an oldie called Knuckles Up. What's up, Ranger? Surprise the skin I lived in that teaches some people are fighting with them every day. Fence was showing his knuckles up and showing our world the price he had to pay. Hey, you're 49. Everything you say to me, and I'm 49. Everything you love for us. I'm 49. By your major learn at 49. We'll all be
perfect. All right, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is our star today. That mandolin action is my favorite. That was one of your buddies showed me that too. Like because I was like, he was like, "Did you see this?" And he like showed me, and I was like, "No, I did not know he was such a mandolin man." But that's cool to kind of see you in that. But like, okay, so you come from this industry, right? So you're. And Tooth and Nail was their record label, by the way, which was something that was notable. Like even when we started our band, like it was cool to like want to be like on Tooth and Nail. Like we were like, should we go the Tooth and Nail route? But they were a little more heavier and stuff, and we were a little more. And we weren't saying we were a Christian band. We were saying we were Christians in a band. But we weren't a Christian band, and we did do things that were Christian, like we didn't put profanity in our music. We were family friendly, we could play any show, whether it was a bar or it was a 8th grade graduation.
Yeah,
I don't know.
exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
bro, we could do it.
Yeah.
And but so that was like one of the goals, right? You're trying to get to, and that was like one of the more known record labels of that time. They had oh my gosh, who did they have, like Under Oath or something? Or
Under Oath made a huge deal especially during that time. Man, that set in a whole era of sound, and
I remember.
Yeah, being on Tooth and Nail, that drove. Tooth and Nail tended to have a lot of good bands on their label.
Yeah, I saw a lot of them at the festival Cornerstone. There was a festival that used to happen here in Illinois. It was in Illinois, right? Because it was. Okay,
yep.
And it was a huge one, and it was called Cornerstone. A bunch of Christian bands for days and days, and there was local bands, all of it. And Tooth and Nail had a stage. I don't remember what it was called, but it had a stage, and Flatfoot. Why can't I say that? Like, that's like a tongue twister. Flatfoot 56. It's too many like.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm butchering that. But I thought that was cool, and so like one of the things that we talked about was like Christians being in a band, and now we're here leading worship. Move forward. We're now leading totally different. Okay, it's instead of like rock and roll or whatever it is, or like mandolin or whatever, like just whatever it is, it's different. It's not worship, and it's not a performance. Yeah, not in that way. And so I wanted to open that up to you too. So I wanted you to talk about a little bit of your journey from doing the band stuff going into worship. And I wanted to open up because I have my own story, but I'm not here to tell my story.
Yeah,
I mean a little bit. I might. I don't know. But
yeah. It actually, for me, so the band stuff, it's kind of funny. I kind of had a dream. I have a dream. I had a dream about it, like not like a dream sleeping, but just like dreaming of daydreaming of like just being in bands,
a
playing
goal,
music
a dream,
and stuff, and being a kid,
a vision,
and listening to bands like Under Oath. It's like, dude, huge influence to me, and like a lot of different bands. But actually, it took a second seat to the worship thing, because the worship thing. It's funny, during the devotional we're talking about in James, that actually applies to me, because for me, like faith and like faith kind of came into this place between me and the Lord, kind of like a journey. I always kind of describe my life sort of as like a book that was like opened up, and the Lord's writing in it, and it was probably right around when I was 18. That was the point that I was faced with kind of like a fork in the road, is the best way I could put it, where either I was at 18, I don't know, like those ages like 17 and 18 are, first of all, formidable years, because that, dude, it's for a lot of people, those are formidable years, formative years, I guess you'd say. But yeah, it was either kind of like I was choosing my own route, just doing music and stuff like that. I was actually going to go to two different options for me. And this kind of applies to how the Flatfoot thing and all that. It forms back to these choices, because you make a choice and it ripple effects. So and the fork in the road happened at that point where either I was going to be doing my own thing. I was kind of like, I never got into drugs or any of those type of things, but I was kind of getting to the point where I was like dishonest, and like, I was like, Mom, I got to go to work. I was going to work. They drove off. I'm going to hang out with my friends.
So you were raised in a Christian family.
Raised in a Christian family,
so
but raised in a broken family. My dad was out when I was about 3 or 4. Not necessarily out. He was actually in a lot of drugs. So he went and he grew up in the streets, like the projects, but
two-parent household?
Two-parent. It was up until about 4 years old, and it was just me and my mom. It really is like me and my mom growing up. We were about that. So my mom's the tightest to me. But until I was 11, she got remarried. So I grew up with a stepdad, and he's awesome. Like, he got me in the teenager years when I was being like sly, trying to just do what I wanted to do. Yeah.
Be the disciplinary. You're not my dad.
Yeah.
You're not my real dad.
Yeah. Well, so like my mom, like, and my mom, we love each other. She loved me. Oh, Keith, that kind of, that now it's like friends. But, I would say that's a full circle too, because my dad's in the area. He found me on MySpace when I was like 18 or 19.
I remember MySpace.
Yeah, and he made a profile, and he's basically like, "Hey Keith, this is your father, Kevin. after 8 years of not talking to him,
Wow.
and that's kind of how we reconnected. And so,
Social media playing its role, like
dude.
that's some original finding people on MySpace.
And
stuff.
I was at the library just like hanging out, like on my MySpace, and I find that it was pretty.
Editing
crazy.
my MySpace, adding my custom music using HTML.
Yeah,
code.
using HTML. Yeah. Downloading my stuff on Napster in the background, and
Oh man, these are like we're aging ourselves with these
Aging.
jokes. Only people who are gonna laugh at this are like people that were MySpacing in HTML. Like I'm gonna get this. And I learned HTML. I like pushed back against Facebook so hard. Like I was like, Like, I worked really hard on my MySpace. Like I'm not
Yeah.
getting a Facebook, and then I had to bite the bullet.
that's how
So
it is.
this crossroad it comes in. So you're raised Christian, you're a Christian household, but broken household. But you know God's present in your life. Is it like a strong faith? Like, are you praying and stuff as a kid? Are you?
Yes, in not as strong as making my own choice, because like I growing up in the faith with your family and stuff, like a lot of my childhood growing up was with my grandparents, actually, because my
Gotcha.
mom was working a ton just to put a roof over our head, and I love her till this day for that. But and then in the weekends she would drop me off to my grandparents, and it was Spanish church, dude.
Yeah.
It was like full Spanish church, very Pentecostal. So I remember as a kid, like first of
Okay.
all, it's like 5-hour services. You're just like, oh my god. I remember how many ceiling tiles. It was just like that. And dude, and then we'd be done, and we go back for like dinner.
Yeah, night
and then
service.
another night service. Oh, dude, I'm telling you,
Bro, I went to
all day, like all day. And then so it's like that.
funny.
But dude, they're pretty. Well, like services was different. It was like the pastor got up, he'd be speaking, and then he gets on this roll like, and then the Lord's gonna blah blah. Everyone's
Yeah.
like, yeah,
Bro,
You know, like
Pentecostal
that.
churches-
and it comes back down, and it's quiet because the Lord's speaking.
Yeah.
And then like, and sometimes it's like healings, like people coming up and they're they're like people
Yeah.
laying on the altar, but they're just praying for her and like stuff like that.
Someone's got
She's
a
getting up,
word.
she's like,
Someone's got a word of
"Hey."
encouragement and
Word of
knowledge coming in.
encouragement. Yeah, the whole
Someone's got a
thing.
praise testimony. Someone's got to like, dude,
Dude.
I love
Yep.
those churches. Honestly, like
Yep.
after you go through all that, like, because I've experienced a lot of different churches, and I would definitely suggest anyone needs to experience that. Like, you need to go and get yourself like a full Assemblies of God.
Dude, yeah.
Pentecostal move. Like
Yeah.
I'm not even. That's not even my denomination. But man, or like honestly, to be honest, I can't talk. I can't talk ever. Man, I went to an all black church, and I mean that. Like I was the minority. Like at the church, it was one of the best churches, bro. Like their
Yeah.
worship service, like the way like the organ person would just come in like unexpected because the pastor would say something like zingy or witty or like that, and the organ's like,
Yeah.
and they're like, I'm like, bro, this is so good. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, and people got to experience this and get out of the small community. Like, I love my small little churches too. In fact, I go to a small church right now. It's literally like, God forbid there's a fire. I think we're all gonna die. Like it's like one entrance.
Yeah.
So small, shoulder to shoulder. We are sardines packed in the church. Like, if somebody gets a movement of the Holy Spirit, we're all going to feel it because we're connected. We're like all
Yeah.
touching shoulder to shoulder. It's so small. I love it. Because I've done big churches, little churches, all of it. I've done it all. And right now, I just like my little church stuff. It's so good for like,
Yeah.
just to breathe.
Yep.
Which is why I like going to Lamont, by the way, and doing that and just worshiping there and then stepping like and not having to be like on stage all the time and that's interesting to say, like as a musician or as someone who worships, and that's what I do, to say, well, I don't want to do it all the time. And it's not because I'm like, well, I don't love God all the time, and of course I want to worship all the time, but there's different. Okay, we're gonna get into some of this stuff. Let's go there. Maybe we'll because we still got your choice in the road. We haven't visited in your testimony, but I'm ADDing, and so I'm taking us somewhere. But there is a choice in the road, or should I just let you finish that so we don't lose that? Because you have this choice you're talking about, and I can go where
Yeah.
I'm going because I know where I'm going.
Yeah. I mean,
let's talk about your choice real quick. Because
Yep.
what was this choice?
Yeah. Okay.
It's
So
like
the choice it's because between the so this is kind of where it lied was worship and like who kind of my worship and desires, like so the choice came actually when I was about 18.
Am I going to be in a church worship band and stuff like that, or
No, more than that. It was more so like just what path I want to take in life. Practically I had some ideas like I was looking at colleges. You do that when you're 18.
Yeah.
So there was one in the city that I was thinking about. I remember going with one of my friends to it was a college called Flashpoint in the city, and they do more like you could go for production, post-production, radio broadcast type of stuff. So we checked it out, and I was like, yeah, maybe I'll do that. And then, but at the same time, I was already with some friends of mine that were like mentors to me. They were going to like one of them who was like my mentor at that time, pretty much like a little older than me, friend. He was giving me rides all the time. He went up to this place called Rockford Masters Commission, and it was a kind of like a discipleship program, basically. Kind of like a school out of a church, you could say. And coming from there, like he would come back and I just see the change in him. So we ended up going up there and going to some worship nights that they were having and stuff like that. And so it was kind of like I had an idea of I want to go there. And so, but at the same time, like with the faith not being like my own, it was kind of like
faith of your parents.
Yeah, well, that
The
and
faith
also
of your-
going to like, conventions. You go to a convention,
Church camp.
you're kind of high on it,
Yeah.
and then it dies out after a couple of weeks.
Yeah,
or like
youth
whatever.
group with your buddies.
Yes,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it was actually getting caught in some lies and stuff like that woke me up. And my parents were kind of like, you have a choice in the road. I remember my mom going like this, like you're in a fork in the road, like you're in the fork in the road, and this is after getting caught, by the way, in like some lies. I was like, yeah, I'm going here, and I had like this first girlfriend in my life at the time, and which is crazy timing, but like I just remember dodging a lot, and I got caught, and she said that so I ended up going to this it's called the Choir of the Fire. They used to do these these big conventions around.
Yeah.
And one of the nights is like a big night, and of course one of the guys says, some of you guys, I just believe that there's people in here that, especially a few of you're in a fork in the road, and he did this, dude. And I was like,
motion as,
he
as
did, you're in
mom.
a fork in the road, and it's your time to decide where you're gonna go in life, like pretty much right on the money. And so I came back home. I told my mom that. She's like, "Wow, God is speaking to you right now to choose what you're gonna." And sure enough, like, man, I cut everybody from that time. And I was in Grays Lake, Illinois. I don't remember anybody anymore. Like, some people keep ties with their high school.
Yeah.
It was like a whole period of life just completely went away, and a new one started. Going to Rockford Masters Commission.
Wow.
That's when it became mine for real. Like
that's when your faith became your real,
yeah,
like your faith.
Yeah, my own faith. Like it was like, yeah, no longer. Well, I wasn't even around family, and actually to this day, coming from that, I'm 18, and my graduation. My parents moved to Atlanta, or they're not in Atlanta, but they're outside of Atlanta in the rural.
Yeah.
And till this day, I'm still out here, actually just on a journey. Like I kind of said yes to God. And he has led me, dude. Like I'm telling you, like even just coming back out here. I mean, I'm a college kid coming from some program that I don't have any money to my name, and it's crazy. Like I'm still over 10 years in this thing, and just still following God. And now I got like a house and a wife, and still and
I got a family.
And, yeah, and it's just like he leads you from. It's kind of like from glory to glory, how he says, and it's really like keeping in step with the Spirit. It's just this journey. So what James kind of is like a book. It's like a pen book, just trusting that he's got my story.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, like, there's been a lot of hardship too. So like in those moments, it's like that's been the solid trust is like knowing he's still writing.
So in this beginning part of when you became a Christian, your teenage years, is this still the dream of musician? You think like I want to be a Christian musician? Is that what you're thinking? Is that the goal of? Because when your faith became yours, what was your plan for the future at that time too? Because there's your faith and then there's your future.
Worship was it, but the music, I like some of the opportunities happening through worship was cool, but I really
You mean like joining like a worship band for a church?
Not even like it was actually it started in these so it started like at the program there was people I was doing a lot of close life with together. One of them, she's like a family member to me at this, but like we've done a lot of life together in and out, and but even just like at first it kind of presented as some possibilities, like we're gonna go do different things with worship and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I remember relocating out here as part of it and stuff out in Naperville area, I should say.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I ended up relocating. And a lot of the guys who was a part of the program, who we were kind of forming a little worship band type of thing.
Gotcha.
It wasn't even like a band like we're going to do YouTube and like write albums. It was more so like there was an opportunity going to like Europe. There was a Europe opportunity, helping partner with some people out there, just really reach like in the worship we were doing. It was ministry. It was like it was more than just a worship band too. It was just
so it wasn't like a church band. This was more like a ministry band. You guys were creating like you were doing the music to go and do it places to be the band that was doing the music at like this convention or this festival, this Christian revival or whatever it was, or missions trip.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It kind of went
so
that way.
you knew you were going ministry.
I knew I was going ministry. Well, so that kind of opened the door. Like, all right, let's just see where this wild ride goes.
Yeah.
And so like a lot of at that time I was with a lot of my friends too. And what I was noticing is like those friends, they would, at that time we were living together, and it was really cool actually in Naperville, in this like, it was basically like a commune. It was like a house.
Yeah.
And there was a separate apartment for the girls, and it was a brother sister who owned it.
Gotcha.
And so some of the guys who was part of that together, we were living there. Friends in Naperville, we were living there, and why did I bring that up? Because what was I gonna say? Yeah, we were just living there. Oh yeah, the worship thing. I know I was gonna bring that up because a lot of my friends at the time was they were like, people I was living close life with would just get married, move away. Another friend of mine, like he was dating, married, and moved away. It was like people were dropping off.
Yeah.
And that was for a bit. That was hard for me because I was like, man, Lord, where are you leading me?
That's why
like,
a lot of bands break up.
Yeah, I'm here, just kind of in the middle. I'm serving. We're helping out some youth group at the time, and then that was great. And then I was kind of going away. It was like this movement. It's kind of like the Lord plants people there, and the Lord gives and takes away.
Yeah, the Lord giveth, He taketh away.
Yeah, and it was like people were just moving, and in some ways, like think of the future, and like I don't know, we're born with these like wants and dreams, and like and also just seeing my friends, they're in a relationship. Why am I not? I'm just over here twiddling my thumbs and trying to find a job. And it wasn't even the relationship thing. Like it was actually just the Lord's like plan. I was like, where am I? Where are we going here? Mm-hmm. And anyways, so with that, like I ended up serving. It led to serving at a church in Lisle. It was a small, Whitechapel looking, kind of like the Table, but if it was smaller building. We were packing 3 services, man, like in this place, back to back, because it was growing. This is growing church. Awesome people and awesome time, man. Like looking back, I'm like, dude, that was cool. We've done a lot too. We did this like nativity thing. So in that's where I find my now wife, Juliana. She's playing piano, and at the time I came to just help, just do some AV, and they were having some like troubles, whatever. And it was with one of the people I was doing the program with back in the day. We've done a lot of life together. Yeah. And we went to that place. So she was taking over the worship, and I kind of was taking over the AV, sort of just making sure, and also sort of the worship too. Yeah. So at that was for a few years. She moved to Indiana. So another person who moved, and that was basically the baton was passed to me to take the worship. Yeah. And at that time, Juliana, it's where I was saying it's a big deal now that Juliana and I, it's like I was taking the lead. Now it's reverse these days. It's a big deal because Juliana came from a broken, pretty big story. Like one day you'll hear her story and you'll see like just the depths of church hurt and stuff like that.
We talked. I remember me and her talked a little bit about that when we went out to eat.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And I was like, man, I got to get more microphones so I can have like the both of you on, and so I do want that. I want to hear. Church hurt is a very real thing, and I've been a part of that in many ways.
Yep.
And I'd love to hear her story, and we should, and we will. And I wish again that that we could have done both of you on this one at the same time. That'd been cool.
Yeah,
husband and wife worship team duo.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, I am limited in my microphone.
Yeah, man.
But so in this, you still haven't because. When did you do the band stuff? Like, did you already do the band stuff with Flatfoot 56?
Weaved in throughout, yes. So this was kind of I knew the guys, and that was actually a connection through the program. That's how I ended up knowing one of my friends. We were in the program. So we're talking what year? We're talking 2008, 2010, right in there. We would be sometimes driving out to the city all the way from Rockford, coming to the city just to go to see shows and stuff. Yeah. And one of our friends. This guy Brandon, he was the one actually just starting to join. We would always visit him at shows and like link up. It was kind of like kindred spirits, like same music taste, same same faith, I don't know, just same kindred spirits. And we go to shows, meet up, and he was starting to play for Flatfoot because he knew the guys. And so with him, I ended up knowing, like, coming out of there, being around the area. A friend of mine who was like basically still my closest friend. So I consider him. I haven't seen him in forever. But he's still, like,
I know how it works. Call each other after 10 years.
Yeah, it's just like nothing changed.
Nothing changed.
And so anyway, we started a band together with him, and this. So now it's just kind of this pool of friends.
Gotcha.
So which is all the Flatfoot guys.
So you were already doing that. So because I want to keep my timeline in my head too, and make sure I'm following it. Teenage years, knew that you were going to go into ministry, so this was always kind of like a known thing. So doing worship music, but now you're dabbling in, this would not be considered worship music, but just music, Christian music, I don't know, like what, just music, not Christian, I guess. I don't know. It's not worship, in the sense of like, you're not closing your eyes, lifting your hands, that's for sure.
Yeah, different than Hell song.
Depends on the song, I guess. But so now you've gone through like different stages. Met your now wife. There's the part where you guys are now coming to from Lyle. You end up in Lamont, right? Is that essentially
pretty much? Yeah.
So you guys are now. She's kind of more leading it, but you're helping her lead it, but you guys are a team, like a duo team. I even see your daughter up there, like, so you guys are you're just doing the whole family. You got that family business going. So now you're doing that. So and praise God for that too, like where you're doing and how God's continued to make this since the beginning, like all a part of your story. For me personally, I did not start off with the intentions of like ministry or Christian music. Like when I started off the band, it was totally in my mind, just, like, how Christian, you know how we do like, I'm gonna make the lyrics like I'm a Christian. I'm gonna make the lyrics. I'm not gonna be like Jesus, but like songs will, like some song might be about a girl, some song might be about this song will be about God, but I might not say God. Like, you know what I mean? Like you're trying to like dance around it. Like, I don't know, like Nickelback or Creed or whatever, where they're like, are they Christian? Like, no, not Nickelback, Creed. I think that was the one people were always like, I think they're a Christian band. Arms Wide Open is about Jesus, like that. And people were like, are they? I don't know. Like, so we were in that like ambiguous music writing style. Like we want to be good enough for the world, but and so that's kind of like the approach. Christians in a band. We weren't a Christian band, but it was never meant for me like to be ministry. For me, like my dream, my thing from a kid was entertainment, whatever that was. I was doing the plays. I was doing choir and speech team and going to state and winning medals for singing and getting the lead in the plays and this is what I'm gonna do and I was on the AV club, the audio video club, and I was doing whatever, anything that was fine arts and creative and the ADD kid, I was a middle child, so that if that explains anything, that was my goal, right? And so when I graduated, most people go to college. I went to Disney World, and I got the job. I'm working at Disney World, but then my dad was deployed to Iraq because of 9/11 and all of that and the war, and they were gonna have him over there for like a year. And so I moved back because I'm going to be a good kid and help out my mom, even though I'm not sure I helped out. I'm pretty sure I probably just made it up. Like, I was probably just a distraction, maybe. But I moved back. But when I moved back, I had sort of like the now what am I going to do? Like, what am I going to do now? I was going to go to Disney, and I was going to use Disney as a stepping stool into the entertainment industry, blah, blah, blah. But now I'm back in Illinois at the time, back in and like, what am I doing? Like, and my story is I saw a band, a particular band playing, and I was just like, he was a really good front man. He was singing, he was entertaining, he was all these things, and I was like, that's not just singing, that's a show. This dude is putting on a show. Like he's over here, he's doing that, he's funny, he's a front man. I was like, this is a show. Like even in between songs, he was like stand-up comedy, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I love this. And so that's what got me into the music. Because then I'm like, I can do this. This is what I'm gonna do. And so I started my own band, and there's a whole 8-year journey of that. So shout out to anyone, Fickles Lot fans. Good to see you guys out there. People still tell me they're listening to it all the time, and we're still getting plays on Spotify and iTunes and all. I can't believe it. But and some of those songs I'm very proud of because I wasn't ministry, it wasn't worship. That's still who I was. It's still my upbringing. And although there's plenty of a prodigal son testimony to this whole band era of my life, where like I'm doing good things for my faith in God, and then I'm doing just terrible things like we're not going to use profanity in our music and all of this because God, not because we're trying to do something, but because God, like that's why. And we want to, because you're the band that's right before you and right after you in the show that's like let me see you jump, and you're like, I want to go out there, and you're like, let me see you jump. You know what I mean? Like, you want to use profanity. You want to, but we're not doing it. We're doing this for God. But then at the same time, being promiscuous, like infidelity, or like sleeping around. Not using profanity. I'm trying to be a good Christian on stage in front of people, behind the scenes, not a good Christian. So there's a lot of all of that going on throughout the whole band era. So... But there's this moment, and I'm sorry I'm talking so much about myself because I want to segue into something, but this is how I understand it, so I'm telling my own story, I guess. Why we were doing Fickles a lot, because we were considered, people knew we were Christians in a band, even though we would play bars, even though we would play crazy shows that were like very just not Christian. One time we played Cornerstone, and Cornerstone is a Christian festival. That's where Tooth and Nail, Flatfoot 56, all of that. Like, so we're playing this festival, and there's a song that I wrote called Choices, and it is a song that's pointing back to God. Not all of our songs pointed back to God, but sometimes naturally, like when I wrote a song, it would point back to God. Like, I wrote a song about the prodigal son as I was living the prodigal son life. And so this song was called Choices, and it's about making a choice. Where will you go? A choice that is made. Choose wisely, my friend. And it's the song is like, God, carry me. And so that song, and we've played this song hundreds of times in front of our fans and everything like that, and everyone's singing along, and it's a good song like that. But we're playing this Christian festival, so like God is the focus, not Fickles Lot, okay? Not the band. People are there to have this Christian experience and fellowship with everyone, not just for the bands, although I'm sure there's people there just for the bands. So there's all these people in front of us, fans and everything. I'm singing the song choices, and all of a sudden I see people's eyes closed and hands are going up, and people are starting to worship. They're worshiping to a song that I did not write as worship. I wrote the song. It's Christian lyrics. It says like, "Carry me like God." Like this is I'm a lyricist. I'm writing, and I'm a Christian, but I never wrote it as worship. Like I never did that. And I watched people worshiping to this song that I wrote, and that was a huge like hit to me. That was a milestone moment to like everything. That was like a big moment for me, and it was like how God works in spite of us. How God continued to use the band and do all this stuff. How people were being touched by God in spite of me being on stage, and I was putting on a show. Like man, I wasn't worshiping. I wasn't worshiping. I was on stage, like sweating, coming off like steam. The steam, you could see the steam with the bright lights, and it was like a show. And I was full energy, like it was a show. And this was the slow part of the like, so I can breathe. You know, like where you can go blue lights and have a moment where you're like being intimate with the audience. And I was putting on a show, but people were still worshiping in spite of me and my heart and the posture of my heart and everything like that. The reason I'm bringing this up is because when I transferred, or whatever you want to call it, when I got out of the band days, band breaks up, I'm like, okay, I don't know. A lot of people start off in church bands, like worship bands. They're like, oh, I was on the worship band, and then we got together and we created a band, and that's how our band got started, because we were all on church bands at one time. Even the people that were in my band came from church bands. You know what I mean? But not me. Like I didn't. That's not how I started. That wasn't. I came from more of a secular part of it, even though I was raised Christian. I was never in the church choirs or anything like that. So now I come out of the band world, but I'm just seen as a music person. So immediately I'm being put on worship teams. Like, you know what I mean? Like I walk into a church and they're like, "That's Joe from Fickles lot." They're like, you want to be on the worship team? You know what I mean? And I didn't even well, I'm going to do an audition. There's no need to audition. You know what I mean? Like, it was like that. I'm exaggerating, but I'm not exaggerating. It really opened doors. So now I'm doing worship and stuff like that. But I'm also realizing, like, there's this thing that has to happen. Maybe like you're talking about, like, in your faith. Well, as someone who worships publicly, there's this something that like you have to go through where you're separating the performance to the worship, to the posture of the heart, because worship isn't just music. Okay, let's be clear. Worship is not just music. In fact, worship is, recognizing the mercies of God. Romans does a pretty good. Hold on. Romans 12. I have a bookmark here because this. Romans 12 does a pretty good job of describing what worship is. It says, "I appeal to you, brothers, by the mercies of God, to present your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable to God, which is your spiritual worship. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind, that by testing you may discern what is the will of God, what is good and acceptable and perfect." So the passage contains the elements of worship. For example, the motivation of worship is literally God's mercies. You know what I mean? Like the worship isn't just music. It's the posture of the heart. It is how presenting your body as a living sacrifice. So I understand that worship can be how someone prays, or how someone reads the Bible, or how someone forgives someone else. Like when someone forgives somebody else, that's a type of worship. You're worshiping God when you're doing it for God. And but I'm talking about worship in the sense of like performance. Like when you get on stage, man, you're thinking, and this is where I almost jumped out of your testimony when I was talking about the crossroads. This is that part I'm talking about, where I want to I want to go here, but I don't know. It's that it's like when I'm on stage singing and stuff like that, I'm not always able just to worship like I am when I put some music on right now and I would just worship. Because if I'm singing, I'm thinking about other things like 1, 2, 3, 4, this, count this, how many intros, and then we do this, 2 bars, count. Like there's a lot of other thinking.
Mm-hmm.
There's the, oh, this is the bridge, so we say this twice, and then we say this.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're going to say this. So there's a lot of that. Like there's a lot of like, you're on and you can't just be off. You can't just get touched by God if you're up there as the drummer, and you can't just be like, you know what, have a moment where you're like, God's just touching you and you're like, I'm wrecked. Like you can't do that. You can't get wrecked, or else everyone else is like, what's going on? Like, so you have to be on in your moment of worship. So there's like this, the duty of what you're doing, like the mindfulness of the worship and you know, being a team, and you're doing something as a team, and everyone has their role to play within the worship. And so, like I said, sometimes I like to step down so I can worship differently. I do worship God when I'm on stage and I'm presenting and I'm singing and I'm doing all of that. I'm worshiping God. And sometimes I do have those moments. If I'm comfortable enough with the song, like if it's not something that I just learned, I can get lost in like, and have like the feels and not think about 1, 2, 3, 4, and I can get really lost in a song and have like emotional moments in a song, and I love that. It's more rare, especially if I'm leading it, because I have so much more like thoughts going on, and I'm doing my best to keep Christ as my focus and not like making it about me. So, but also because I'm a performer, even when I'm just naturally like presenting my worship publicly, like people might think it's a performance. People might be like, oh, he's performing because he's more animated and he's singing louder or doing this, and like that's just I come from this world of like, that's the world I come from. You know what I mean? That's how I was trained, brought up, 8 years of it, you know, doing it. And so when I get on stage and I perform, I'm not up there performing. I'm not up there trying to make it about me. Although I'm sure people might believe that, especially if for whatever reason, I'm very aware of that. And they have no idea how much I pray. They have no idea how much I take it before God and be like, God, I don't want this to be about me. I want to sing this way. And I know it's a little more fancy, but that's the way I feel it in my heart, and this is my heart song, and this is the melody that I have, and God, I'm giving it to you, and I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be a distraction, but God, you know my heart. And so basically this has been a very, very long-winded version of trying to point towards this transition of performance into worship, and how do you, because you, like I said, you knew it was going to be ministry the whole time, but even me, like, I accidentally watched people worship to a song that I didn't even intend people to worship to. And now I'm intentionally trying to help people worship. And maybe I don't even get the same response. You know what I mean? Like some people might be more encouraged to worship because it's not me that's doing it. It has to be Holy Spirit led. The Holy Spirit has to be present in there, you know? And that's what I mean. Like, so what I'm trying to open the door is for you to kind of open the door of your testimony part of like, how did that work for you? The performance versus the worship, and do you struggle with that? And was there a struggle when you were during the Flatfoot 56 days compared to now, or do you still struggle with it? Give us your insights.
Yeah, well, I got to take it back to what you said about the song choices that you did. There's a thought I have about that, because I just play with it in my head a lot, where I wonder if a lot of times, like because you mentioned that that the song was written not necessarily as a worship song, but it was probably a deeper, there was deep depth to it.
It was meant to point to God,
and so something about like
without saying God,
people put in their stuff in lyrics, and people like put in their life cry. Like I just think of, like, I'll take it biblically. Like, I mean, there's David, like, from the depths of Sheol, I like cry to you, and like it's deep. Like, we don't even understand how deep that is. And, but now, what are we reading this day? That those lyrics are hitting people, and I think there's something that draws, because my buddy, I don't want to say his name, but I have a buddy who went through some dark, I guess it's dark stuff, like just divorce and all this stuff. It was like messy and just hard situation of time, and he writes music out of it, and through that, like, even to this day, nobody understands how deep probably it was for him, like sitting in his like room, just like lights out. There's like like the bottom, man. You've hit rock bottom, and you're penning these words, and like till this day, that's some of the like stuff that like out of all the other album like stuff, music that he's written and stuff like that, it's been good lately. But man, like there is something poured out from you. Your soul gets spat on the table, and it's there for everybody to look at. And actually, people gravitate toward that. Like there's a worship leader that says something like that, like putting your stuff behind your worship, like yourself. And there's something with that. Like even though
I believe it.
Yeah, like the authenticity just comes out.
I've seen it. Like I've seen it in my own music. I've seen it in my own work. I know that. Well, also I've seen songs that I've cared very little about, like wrote it as a joke, and those do better than any other song.
Yeah, it's like it's like better than the songs. It's like Jesus, I love you, and like all these penned really good words. Even songs like Choices, it's not necessarily a God song, but people are worshiping because I think people can see real, recognizes real, and like the soul sees the authenticity and that kind of thing. So it's just interesting to me.
And okay, speaking of that, like the soul writing it, bearing its fruit, like the real artist behind it, like, okay, so Choices, that was a song that came from there. It came from desiring to point to God. You know what I mean? Like through the song. And there's a couple songs like that on the album that are just straight point to God. Like now that I've said it, you'll hear it and go, oh yeah, that's totally like, Christian.
Yeah.
It could have been like, you're like, I wonder what he's talking about if you didn't know. But like these, like I say things like I pray, blah, blah, blah. So like it kind of makes it obvious a lot in the song. But that being said, okay, so I connected, I did that, you know, and the song did well and people worshiped. And that was actually one of our most requested songs. That was like one of the number one. Like it was like we had to play it at every show. So that song became that. But also right next to another song that the lyrics like meant nothing. You know what I mean? Like they were kind of like they were patriotic and jokey, but people loved the song because the antics of the song were crazy. So you got that. Now let me bring in 2024 AI. Hold on. Hear me out. AI. So AI has come into the world of music, all creative industries, video industries. They thought AI was going to take over like all the mundane jobs, like building factory stuff, like making a car or something. Instead, AI has come into the creative world. I have been experimenting with it because that's me. I have my reservations with AI. Don't get me wrong. Hear me out. Like AI is creepy and scary. And it is. I'm pretty sure AI is involved in some end time stuff. But that being said, I'm still trying to use it because I still see it as a tool for ministry or whatever I can do. And so that being said, I have used AI to write some, like taking a song that I've written like that from here and put it into AI, gave it some directions, blah, 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 and produced some stuff. And what it has produced has been amazing. Amazing. And it's kind of like, I don't know how I feel about it. It's so good. Like, but here's this is the spirit behind it. Let me talk about the spirit behind it. Like, cause we got AI, right? This empty vessel. So AI can be used for whatever, evil, whatever someone wants to use AI for. I'm trying to write a Christian song. I take the Bible. So after a sermon, I was up in Lamont. After we did worship, Pastor Dave did a sermon. In his sermon, he mentions Romans 8:14 through 17 being one of his favorite Bible verses of all time. I take that exact Bible verse using AI and put it in. So it's not my spirit. It's just the word of God. I put the word of God into AI, tell it what I want, tell it the kind of music that I want, go into like my AI descriptions, let it do its thing, and it created a song. And man, I'm just like, are you kidding me? It's so good, bro. It's so good. It's making like, I'm able to take Bible verses and turn them into songs without like any effort at all. And beyond like a creative like description. I sent it to Dave. I sent it to him. I showed it to him. He's like, I really like this. Like, he's like, I'm like, bro, it's just Bible verse too. And I didn't have to do anything. I'll show you guys, So, because I actually wanted to show him this before he got here. So right when we got here, I was like, dude, you got to look at this AI music. So I showed him the song that I showed Dave. So I'll show you guys a clip of that right now. All right. So live react of sorry, I cut it away too fast. Live react to the song that I showed Dave after he did the sermon. Live react to the song. So again,
For those who are led by the Spirit of God, the children of God, the Spirit you received does not make you slaves, so that you live in fear again. Rather, the Spirit you received brought about your adoption, and by him we cry, Abba, Father. The Spirit himself testifies with our spirit that we are God's
I like the lion.
Now if we are children, then we are heirs, heirs of God and co-heirs with Christ.
That's you.
no, that's AI.
Is AI?
Yes.
That we may also share in his glory. We are God's children.
This is Romans.
The whole thing, right?
This is just straight Bible verse, man. I didn't add anything into it but the Bible verse. And this is
For those who are led by the Spirit of God, the Spirit you receive does not make you slaves to the
so the AI stuff is crazy, and I did this with other songs that I wrote, and the stuff like it honestly like it outperforms me almost, like in a sense of like it's still using my work and my stuff, but like I just feel like a side player because I took a song that I fully composed, everything, recorded, all instruments, everything. I did everything, right? Took me months. Took that, and then I took all of it and I went to AI and I was like, okay, well, let's see what AI would do with it. And I gave AI the descriptions, my lyrics, all of it, stuff like that. And I listened to it and I'm like, it's better. It's better than mine. And so like, I'm figuring out a way that I'm going to use AI to bring modern hymnals back, bro. Hymnals were just like the Bible, right? And they're like, oh, my Lord and my soul and my most inner being, praise his holy name, his holy name. You know what I mean? Like, and you're just singing the Bible. And but now I'm taking the Bible. And so, like, I've done another song, too, where I took, like, Hebrews and I took Romans and these chunks and I created it. So I'm structuring it together. Boom, using AI. It puts the whole thing together. And, man, it creates such good music. And I'm like, and once you learn these songs, because you memorize it, you're just memorizing the Bible. Like, you're just memorizing Bible. You could pull up to a red light, and this music is good. This is not, like, this music is, like, it's not worship music, but it is.
Yeah.
But it's not. Like, you could totally, like, listen to it like an artist, like just music.
Yeah.
And so that is something, like, I'm taking the segue of talking about, like, how I watched a song that I wrote that wasn't intended for worship become worship. And your idea is that because of where it came from emotionally, and yet I'm still watching AI. Again, the root of it is the Bible. The root of it is the lyrics that I come up with and stuff like that. But there's still this element there where it's like, I don't know how I feel about it. Like, I don't know how I feel about
You
that.
ever heard of Sumo AI? Sumo is, let me see.
I don't
pulled it
know.
up.
There's so many of them out there.
There's one Suno. That's a music
Is
one.
it the one where it creates the lyrics?
Creates it all.
Yes,
and
yes.
it's actually one of the best, like, because I've played with a few of them.
Oh,
Check
you
that
played
one
with it?
out.
Okay, are we
Yeah.
going to show each
So
other?
that's a
All right.
that's a whole nother
I'm going to show you,
tidbit.
after this podcast, bro, I'm going to have to show you some more stuff that I created because I want to show
Yeah,
you some of the
I got-
stuff. I want to...
There's some strong ones out
Yeah,
there.
man. And it's like this stuff I want to release. I want to show people this
Yeah.
stuff. I am absolutely going to take some of the stuff that I've created using AI and the Bible and all of that, and I'm going to release it. I'm going to release it. Like, I'm doing it through the ministry. You guys are all going to get to hear it. In fact, special treat, what I'll do, just thinking of it now, at the end of this, I am totally going to throw in one of the songs no one's heard before. And I'll do one that no one's heard. on one of the new composed White Squall / AI Bible chill step. You'll hear it. You'll hear it. We're gonna put it at the end of the video, so you gotta stay to the end.
Awesome.
So we're gonna add that so people can hear that. And then if you guys like it, I got more, and I'll keep putting it out there, and maybe we can put it on like Spotify, iTunes, and all of that, because I'll do it. And honestly, some of the stuff I want to re-record. Like the AI made it, and I'm listening to it, and I'm like, ooh, I want to do. It helped me create, like I helped it, and then it helped me, and now I want to help it create something even better by re-recording the thing that it made. And I'm like, dude, if we did this acoustically and did this, like, so I am definitely using this as a tool to help me compose other stuff. Like, dude, I've taken songs that I've written, used it. It helped put some vibes on it, or whatever you want to call it, that like, I'm like, because I wanted to have more of like this kind of a feeling. It changed it. And I was like, it changed my melodies from, instead of going like dun 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 dun, it gets like dun 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 dun, and I'm like, AI is smart. Like, I like it. So I don't know, man. You guys, if you guys like it, check it out. I've been having a blast experimenting with AI. Again, this is like the music stuff. It's probably gonna take so many people's jobs away. Like, bro, the amount. Anyways, but. So the spirit behind it. So that's what I wanted to talk about. I wanted to say, like, I believe, because of why I'm making this is just me. This is me being like Pentecostal, supernatural, whatever you want to talk about. Like, demons are real. Okay? I think AI is a intelligence that does not have a spirit, right? So I think the spirit behind something, when anything gets created, anything at all, if it's not done in faith, you know what I mean? So when I'm doing something in faith and I'm creating this, I think the spirit behind it is the Holy Spirit, even if I'm using AI. I think that's how it works. I think that it's just a tool. But AI also is scary because it's an intelligence, and someone might even say it's a consciousness without a soul. A soulless consciousness. Consciousness. I don't think I'm saying that right. I don't think I'm saying it right. But so like the whole AI thing is like very, especially when you get into super intelligence AI, like that whole world, like I ain't playing with that stuff. I'm sure AI is way bigger than we even understand. I'm just dabbling in the music world of it. Like, ooh, it's making music. And if it's making the word of God, like awesome, like songs that I can put out for people, then let's use AI right now for awesome things like that before it takes over the world, you know, before Skynet happens and Terminator busts down my door. But that's how I feel. I'm just curious because you just said you played with AI, because I was going to ask you, what are your thoughts on AI and creating worship music? But it sounds like you're kind of dabbled in it yourself. Tell me about it.
So like in doing music, that's more playing around. For AI though, like actually you're right about I see it as a tool.
It's a tool for me.
That's where I've seen it.
For me as well.
And to be honest, like it could be a good tool. It can also be, it's like having a knife. It's sharp and it could be really useful. Yeah. It's also sharp and can kill. Yeah. And it depends on how you use it. So that's where it's more of a tool than a person, I would say. But in many ways, there is two sides of the thing. It's so advanced and we don't know a lot about it that I'm not even advanced, but it just growing. It's this growing thing. So some of the things I've heard is like the fact that people pour in now, which I've kind of gotten at a little bit myself, is like trying to clone yourself. And actually, instead of people asking you questions, it will say it on your behalf. And now you free your time up. There's like this win-win. But when somebody hacks your soul, not even just like there's hacking your identity, but then hacking everything about you, like hacking you. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's a whole nother breach.
You're talking like Neuralink AI, like Neuralink AI?
Yeah, stuff like that. But even like people who are creating like basically clones of themselves, like as in like my information, my business,
taking all my algorithms, everything, who I am, put it my identity as a artificial tool that runs my life.
How I would respond. So like it can respond in my tone of voice, in all. You won't even know. So it's really me.
Yeah. People have no idea how crazy this AI stuff is right now.
So like that's one of the things is like when that gets breached. So it's like that's you, and that's making phone calls emails on your behalf, and that's, or that whoever, it's literally you, it's your soul getting hacked. So but at the same time, like, this is all speculate because it hasn't happened yet though, so it's new. That's the issue. But in many ways, it's a tool too, because like many people, I have a friend, not even a friend, he's actually I worked for the guy. He was like, he to me, he spoke really good English. He has broken English. He's Mexican. Yeah. He has the Spanish accent. Yeah. And you could tell like he grew up Spanish, but I mean, he's running a business. He's running a corporate business, not running a corporate business, but he's like on the high of the chain. And man, like that stuff's helping him. And like I just know that his emails and stuff like that, it's when it's him, it's like he'll just chop it in. But man, it's like you could put your thoughts right, and it's actually a help. And
listen, so
it
is helping me.
It's helping me too.
It's helping me in many ways.
Dude,
I've used it on plenty of ways, which is also why I get nervous, because anything that I'm using, right, like that I'm using could become like a distraction. If I'm using it in worship music or something, like, is it taking away something? Is there an element of it that is less genuine or whatever? But also the part of like you said, it's helping like him create just better emails, like better responses, or like, dude, AI is.
I'll give you one of mine. Well, even just in music stuff, like, dude, writer's block is a real thing. Yeah. And when you're getting that, you're kind of like, I spent years. I have 2 songs that some of my close friends know. I'll show, maybe we'll get to that. I have a song that I wrote like back in actually 2008, like Master Commission days when I was talking about. But during that time, I actually was writing a lot, being in high school and stuff. This is when I was learning guitar. I feel like I played better than those days. I was learning tapping and all this stuff. Now I don't practice. You got life. Yeah. So this thing called life. And so the thing now is, I remember just being in writer's block, and I felt like for years, like the reason I don't really have my own music out is just I feel like I'm a little too perfectionist. Like playing, I could come up with stuff, but lyrics, like what comes out of the mouth, doesn't match the picture. So I'm like this perfectionist, and it really drives my speech insane because I stutter, and it's because of that. I see this picture and no word is saying that, and it's just this gap. But actually, it's a great tool for getting out of writer's block, man. Like what you're just saying, that's using it well. And I'm kind of like, it does take it. There is a bridge though. I think any good thing can go sour, especially if you're like copying, just pasting. Yeah. There's no soul.
Well, I'm copying, pasting the Bible. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like, but also using it, but you're still putting your soul. But I think it's kind of a microwave food where too much of that you get fat, and it's just like you're not really like it's just like not healthy. You know what I mean? And so I think using AI just straight and not actually contributing in society, like that's where I think kids should get in trouble.
Well, we're learning we're still learning AI and like how much like the goods and bads of it, and like what,
like the copy paste answer, the kid's not learning. I think learning like getting out of writer's block and then using it as a tool, like one of your knives or your spoon, that's awesome.
And then if it gets you out of writer's block, does it get the credit or do you get the credit? You see what I'm saying? Like, you see what I mean? Like, and so I'm a lyricist, and so I understand how you're talking about using it. Like, the one thing that I feel like if I'm messing around with AI that I have to make it my own is just the lyrics. But I know what you're saying. Like, because for me, it's a little bit of the opposite of you. The music and stuff is hard. I can't get the music to match the thing that I have going up in here with the lyrics. And so I use AI to describe the music of what I want to go with these lyrics. And so I use AI to get the music to match, because I'll create a song and be like, here's the song. It is not at all how I intended it to sound, but I don't know how to get it to sound the way that I want it to sound in my head. And so I've used AI to do that. And so for me, it's been the opposite. The lyrics are like the one thing that I have where I can say, well, that was me. You know what I mean? Like, that was me. But I've used AI to help in other things, like, because I do a lot of marketing. I do a lot of marketing for the website. I use it. And so I'll say, what's a more clever way to say? And then I'll say the thing that I want to say. I'm like, no. Or when I'm done saying it, being like, I'll say, I want to say this, 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 and this, and this. I'm like, does that sound empathetic enough? And they're like, you could have said this. And I'm like, you know what? That's a good idea. Let's change that word, AI. That sound better, because that's the way I wanted it to sound. I just didn't do a good job.
Yeah,
and that's what you're saying. Like, your friend gets help from that part of AI. So the part is too that I struggle with, though, is as I'm creating like Christian music and stuff like that, I'm not trying to get credit. In fact, maybe by just doing it free and stuff like that, I can avoid any like feelings of like whatever I'm trying to avoid, pride or something. Because I'm like, I'm creating this. I didn't even write the lyrics. Bro, I didn't even write the lyrics. It's just the Bible. All I'm doing is composing it, telling AI what I want, doing little nudgies, touching some buttons. 20 minutes later, I have myself like an awesome Christian modern day hymnal. And I'm like, this isn't really, when someone goes like, who wrote this? I'm like, God. Like, you're like, it's God's word. Like, who made this? I'm like, I did sort of. Me and a robot, like me and my robot friend. And like, so I'm still struggling with it. Like, I want to create it. It's creating good stuff. I want to put it out for people. I also am like, I hope people aren't weirded out by it, you know, being like me using AI, because me and my daughter will be listening to this music in my car now, because I got it on iTunes for myself. And like, me and her will be like, dude, I was showing some people at this festival that I just did, this like get together Peru for Jesus thing, and I was like, here, listen to some of this music. And like, we were having like a little moment, like they're like, this is it. I'm like, yeah. And they're like, this is good. I'm like, yeah, I know, it's crazy. I'm like, I don't know how to feel about it either. Like, this is so good though. And they're like, she's like, this one girl was like, I would listen to this. I'm like, me too. Like, I do listen to it. And so like, I'm just kind of been figuring out this whole AI thing, and I wanted to figure out like your thoughts on like, do you think that it's good, bad? You said like a tool. So then for you, inherently, it has no position. It can be both. And that's what I feel like it is for me. It's deep enough
to be both.
Yes. And I feel like the same for me. I just hope other people
because of the soul.
It.
I think the human soul, one thing, I mean, there's big wins. Like buying your time back. Like being able to, for example, writing the email for you in a clever way. Okay, it'll do it for me. Yeah. Now I got time to actually do some stuff. But so
doing all of this, time.
Yeah, exactly.
Is important.
And the time for people got families and other stuff as well.
Priorities. And I need you to paraphrase that. Like I can just talk to text and be like blah 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 blah. Fix my punctuation. Fix all of that. Use AI. It just like fixes my talk to text, because now that's how busy I am, right? I'm driving, I'm talk to texting, in my notes, AI, fix my stuff.
It is a different tool too. Like, I think a lot of people, it'll change jobs and stuff like that. But I think jobs will like inherently. I mean, some jobs will go away, but jobs have gone away before when
they'll just create new jobs, right? You know, like when we went from industrial to whatever, like people lost a lot of jobs, but then there were all kinds of new jobs in Silicon Valley and all that stuff were created.
So knowing how it works, I think staying ahead is good, changing with the times. But I think, you know, it is kind of like both good and bad, because I just think knowing the tool, but also like not just relying on the tool. Like, I feel like that's where I was saying the kids who just punch the answer in, who cares? Yeah. I have a friend who started. I actually recently just got off of all social media, but when I had Facebook, it's probably
the smartest thing you've done.
Yeah, it's been good.
But stay on it for me, guys. Don't go anywhere.
So I have Facebook. Okay, so my friend, he started doing AI, just AI art. Yeah, this is a whole following. Yeah, I didn't realize. So this AI art is actually just like literally just punch it in, let it generate, and he's selling it. So it's not the artistry that's like the goal. Yeah. So like I'm almost like, I got friends who are artists. If they were using AI to help in their art, or like I know they would see it as a tool, because there's this hunger to actually like paint it and like be. It's kind of like Fickles lot or like Flatfoot, like more so not even for me, for the guys who were been since 1999, 2000 and Flatfoot. Like if one project like the AI song or Fickles lot got deleted, it would hurt when, especially like 1999, the Flatfoot guys, if that all got deleted versus the AI stuff, it doesn't hurt so much. It was like a microwave in and out. but the blood, sweat, and tears behind it,
Yeah.
there's something valuable
Yeah.
about that. It's like, man, there's like
Yeah.
a richness in it.
And that'll
So-
probably have a swing back too. All this AI will eventually create like an analog swing back where like
Yes.
where the sitting down for a month writing 7 songs with your buddies and you just create it without the help of AI like the old way.
Yeah, the
You
people
know?
selling the AI
Yeah.
art,
That'll
it's
come
like
back.
they're
There's
just trying to
this-
make money, so there's no artistry in it. It's like,
but
come
we're
on,
on a
man.
we're on a rocket roller coaster right now with AI. So right now there's no swing back, and I don't see any swing back for a while.
People
but
are trying it, and it's
But just
new.
how we talked about in the beginning, like the band days are done, but now we're starting to see like reunion tours 20 years later. All these bands that were big in the band days, and then there was like no band scene. Well, now there's starting to be a band scene again, but it's mostly like comeback tours.
Yeah.
It's a swing back. Well, I think
Yeah.
that there will be a swing back too in the creative world. But right now we're still learning how to use AI. Like we're
Yeah.
still like it's still a paintbrush. We're
It's a
still
paintbrush,
realizing,
yeah.
wow, you can hold it like this or like this.
Yes.
And it can do like, and we're just in the total booming stage of it. But I mean, just an interesting topic, AI,
is,
and
yeah.
in the music world,
Yeah.
and can it be
It's a big
used
tool
to
that's growing.
yeah, and can we use it for Christian stuff? And I do think we can. And I, like I said, you guys be the judge. If you guys like some of the Christian music I make with AI, you guys will let me know in the comments, I guess. So yeah, let me know. But okay, so stepping away from the future, you know, and AI and all that, and just kind of want to recap a little bit, just so I can get where we're at. You are from the area, teenager, raised, give your life to God, you know, broken family, but band stuff, always kind of new ministry, Christian ministry through music, get married, have a family, still here, working in churches, doing worship stuff. Are you doing anything? Is there future plans for more worship stuff? Like me, I'm dabbling around with this AI stuff. That's kind of like my future in the music world, which has already opened the door because I'm doing that. And I showed some people, they're like, man, we should get together and also produce more of this stuff live. Like, so not just the stuff that the AI makes, let's learn it and do it as a band, not just create this song through AI, but let's actually do this. So that's kind of thing I've been talking about a little bit with, and also just putting it out. Is there something like that in your future, or are you just focusing on the church stuff? Or band stuff? Do you feel like is there a reunion tour? Flatfoot 56 coming back? Like what we got?
They gotta quit playing. It's been so long.
They gotta.
Yeah.
They're like POD, man. They've been up for like 30 years.
Yeah.
I just saw POD too, and I was like, man, they've been doing this for 30 years.
Yeah, it's a long time.
That's a long time.
Some guys are after it, but I guess when it works out, you know, I think for me, yeah, future plans. It's been so there's been momentum as of late, so it's kind of interesting that right now, if I'm gonna boil it down to like this season, since 2019. So we got married in 2019, 2020 pandemic and stuff. We didn't go to church. Right after that, though, it wasn't during that time. It was just like tailing that time. Like we ended up getting into the season of a lot of growth actually between me and Juliana.
Just personal growth.
Yeah. And that's when a lot of the change. Like when we were a part of the little chapel church that was like 3 services. We merged with a bigger church, so we were on stage doing almost like big church style, like clicks, tracks. We had a music director on the mic and the whole thing, man, and big production. And we stepped away we actually took a break, and then the world changed. Like everybody took a break, and then we started doing this is kind of like the little storyline to get to my point. But everybody was out. We did a small group. It was actually Tobin, the singer from Flatfoot, and me and my wife. We gather at our house, mainly at our house. We go to his house sometimes, do this little like home church thing. We felt like it was just kind of like time to gather the people we know and just do home church. And it was cool. It was like we did it for some months. Yeah. And that's when we were kind of looking around, and we were like the traveling worship leaders, sort of like we kind of got paid to do, go help people like, hey, we can't play this day, we'll play that.
Yeah.
It was like this,
Because
like
you can show up as
we're
a
like
team.
nomads.
You're like you and your
Yeah,
you and
me
your
and my
wife.
wife, we got it.
You got singer, piano, guitar. I can play drums. You play this.
Yeah.
I'll play guitar. You play keys. We got
Yeah, hey,
male
we got
lead
it.
vocals. We're good. We're
And we
set.
both could kind of
Yeah,
lead,
yeah.
and the person could go travel,
Yeah.
and come back for the next Sunday. But anyways, because that's the whole thing.
More music
Getting off on
ministry.
Sundays is hard.
Music ministry, bro.
Yeah, music ministry. So, but we were doing that, and it was kind of like nomadic. We didn't have a
Yeah.
church though.
Yeah.
And I mean, we kind of looked too. We are like, was this it? Is this it? We were kind of having our eye open, like, is this the church? Nothing landed. We are like, this ain't it. Like there was some like decent connections that we had and stuff like that with people we knew, and we are like, to just something. God just don't give you a peace about it. You know, people say I have peace. There's just this like discerning thing. There's this Holy Spirit there's this path that he sets is like, this ain't it. But what did stick with us is we went to the table once, and they were meeting in the high school before they met in the building they're at now, and we were there till lights out. Like, we started talking with everybody, and we knew a family from there, and it stuck with us throughout. We never kind of brought it up until like we went to go have tacos. I remember the taco spot, and I remember the And so we're talking about it, and we were like the table though. It kind of was like sitting with us, and we were trying to look for it and stuff just to go. We were like, we got to be a part of a church, and we just felt it was a lot of the reason we left the other church.
Yeah.
We were doing church separately. They had this they had a model of like one collective. There was the music collective, and it was like one team that serves multiple locations. So what happens is you might be in Bolingbrook, you might be in Naperville, you might be in these different campuses. So both of us are getting set in separate places. So we're not even doing church together. And like,
is this the fruit of? And sorry to interrupt. Is this the fruit of you guys jumping around, like, is not having a church and stuff? Is this actually because of the church hurt you mentioned previously that Juliana experienced, that you guys actually don't have a church right now and you're doing this?
No,
like,
that was because from taking a break and wanting to find a new church. Yeah. And it was after COVID.
And COVID shut down all the churches anyway.
Now
Yeah,
everything's kind of blooming back in.
Okay, I was just trying to figure out.
So I kind of skipped backwards, though. This is when we did take a break from the church.
It's okay.
It was
You're
like
ADD
that.
like me, man. I'm actually watching you like talk.
The timeline, you got to follow my...
I watch you talk and like how you'll like not finish a thought. And you'll
follow
do this.
my
I'm
finger.
Like, this is me.
Yeah, this is me.
This is how I talk. This is what people have to deal with. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
I'm like, you got two people that are like not like, and then they don't finish their thought, and they're like,
the thought comes fast,
and then
you
they
got
go
to
over
hit
here.
it. Yeah.
But you know, actually,
But
and then you're like,
wait, actually, yeah, and then the thought comes.
So I've been trying, like, okay, I'll have to focus more, so in case someone of us says, what was I saying?
Yeah.
We'll know.
Yeah.
Because one of us are bound to go,
ADD.
what was I saying? Like,
Yeah.
why was I telling you that? Like, so I was trying to
Yeah, I'm glad you did.
hone in on it for
Oh,
you.
this might be tough for the both of
Yeah.
us then.
That's why I'm just drinking sparkly
Yeah,
water. 'Cause you add
exactly.
the caffeine in it. I'm not sure
Yeah,
if it makes
ooh.
it better or if it makes it worse. I feel like it makes it better, but
Yeah.
it probably makes it worse.
Yeah. Okay, so here's the so we're jumping around. Now coming to the what was the original question? Let me see if I'm jumping too far
Hold
off.
on, see.
That's
hold
where-
on. I wasn't ready for a question. I didn't know you were gonna hit me back with the
Hit
question.
you back.
I was just thinking about like other things just now. Like, oh,
Yeah.
you know,
Okay. I knew where I was gonna land with it. Is actually me and Juliana doing because you mentioned us doing worship.
Yep. You
and
guys were bouncing around.
Bouncing
you guys
around.
Didn't feel like it. You guys were talking the table though. Maybe the table.
Yeah, but the significance of church hurt.
But now you guys were separated.
Yeah, it kind of landed with church hurt with where we were going with it. But so like actually with bouncing around and stuff like that, that was during the 2021, 22. During that time, we were actually growing a lot. Like beyond church, us together were growing a lot. So in this, I would say since 2021, it's been hard actually for me. Up until recent, but the hard is different though. It's actually a period of growth because in 2021, I feel like the most anxiety happened to me, personally. So anxiety, I started like really identifying with like anxiety, and so I did dabble with like in hard spouts of life. I had one like back in 20. Let's see, I guess that'd be like 2010, 2013, all in like early 2010s,
Yeah,
whatever
yeah,
that is,
yeah.
the tens.
The tens.
It like all like there was some years in there of just depression.
Yeah.
And I'm very nomadic kind of guy, or like, yeah, just kind of like that sort of place in life. So I was like, where's life leading? It was the journey part, the whole
Yeah.
journey thing of like God's pen in the life, but what's the story even? And
Yeah.
and so following him, but trusting him, I literally said yeah, and I stuck to like not even like yes, what are you gonna do for me? But it was like this yes, I'm following you, kind of
Yeah.
like I'm
Yeah.
going after you. I don't care, like I don't.
Yeah.
It goes hard. Like where else am I supposed to go?
Yeah. If it hurts, it hurts.
And so with that, like you end up coming. What I found out about the depression thing is like even the most like sour it gets, like you come out of it. You actually come, and when you do, you actually come out better. You come out this better person, and you kind of you poke your head out of the trudging in the mud, and you're like, dang, I'm like taller and bigger, and it's not even like how great you got, but it's actually internally. We went to a conference. This is another segue, but anyway, Francis Chan. We saw him speak and stuff, and he was saying like it was interesting. He was talking about people coming on Sundays, and what happens is they don't read the Bible for themselves, and now on Sundays on the pastor to motivate them to like be excited, like or just they feel something toward Christ, and it's on the pastor. But actually there's like the Psalm of Ascent, you yourself prep you come to the throne room. And so it was good, and so that's kind of where I think coming out of hard spouts where you grow and stuff is actually when you grow internally, you don't need external things to like you're good. And that's where I think hard, like the rain, no flowers, they say, so I think that's where you become a bigger flower. And so that's where in depression taught me that. But now like going through anxiety and like going through, like it kind of went from anxiety, next year was like stress, and next year, but then again, also my period of time has changed. Like I'm now in a family. I was in a small family growing up. Now I'm in this big family. She's one of 7 sisters, big family, you know? So like, actually one of my verses I held God kind of hostage to was in Psalms. I think it's 37:18, something like that. Something in the 30s was he places the lonely in families. And that was kind of like, really, because I'm over here just like no woman, no family necessarily. Like I'm spending Christmases with, just my church. It was actually the church that like getting into the people of God that I was following with. God's people were my family in that time, which is cool. But with that, so I never really was without a family. If I think about it, it's crazy thinking about it now. I'm like, dude, no, I did. Like God blew me out of the water with that one. And then now full circle. Now I'm married, family. So he plays the lonely in the family, and a big family too, because she's a big family. And now my family, not only her family, but my family is big family now. And so, but now learning those dynamics, the things I'm learning, like coming out of. So I talked about anxiety, these terms that probably are like ripple waving. Everyone feels anxious these days. Everyone probably feels stressed out, too many things and all this stuff. I feel it too. But and I think like people are deep. I don't even know if people understand each other's how deep we get. But at the same time, getting through it though, like it's kind of hard to like put your depths of like what you really feel, because what can people do? I think really actually submit it to God is the answer, man, because like with that I think your depths, like nobody can really come to satisfy your depths. Like God's gonna come and travel you through this, navigate you through a time like anxiety, like if you're feeling anxious, and it might not be it's not overnight, because I don't think it's as that shallow, like AI, the shallowness where we were talking about, like but I think like the substance of it, he'll travel you into it, and like you come out through the other side, you go through hell, not just land in hell. You go through it, and you get to the other side. You're gonna see, dude, it's gonna blow your mind, like how much God has grown. You're gonna be this giant.
Yeah, going through the suffering, going through the pain, going through the raindrops, all of it, like that is the iron sharpening the iron, or whatever you want to say, going through the furnace, the test of it all.
I actually have this, and this actually ties with one thing I'll kind of just throw in there is in Jonah, dude. We were talking about Jonah the other day, and actually it wasn't even talking about. We have a men's group that me and a couple guys from the church been doing. Like we get there at like early 6 a.m. in the morning kind of thing. And one of the readings was Jonah, dude, and it's pretty interesting how tied it is. Like Jonah 1 right off the bat just goes into like the world. The Lord came to him and said to go to Nineveh and stuff, and he fled and he went to Tarshish. He's like, screw this kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well, not even. He just didn't want to, he was kind of avoiding his calling, and he got called there. But anyways, he's on a boat. And the people were afraid. Dude, I never put Jonah and Jesus together, but people on the boat were afraid. Like those seas are going crazy. Yeah. And every man is crying out to God, and everyone's just freaking out. And Jonah goes to the lowest part of the ship and goes to sleep. Just like and it made me think of Matthew. Yeah. They're freaking out on the boat, and Jesus is asleep. You kidding me? And so the captain goes to him like, it finds him, and what are you doing, sleeper? Like, rise, call to God. He's not freaking out. And basically, there's two interesting things. One thing is he said to him, "I'm a Hebrew. I fear the Lord God of heaven, who made the sea and dry land." Like, who cares? Yeah. On my stance is who cares? God made all this. Yeah. And Jesus was different. Jesus is God, so he just calmed it straight up. Yeah. But it's the response is interesting. But even the fear, actually, they both. I never really put it together that both Jonah and Jesus, they didn't care about the winds and the wave. Like it wasn't about the winds and dude, they're asleep. Who cares? Yeah. And but they're actually scared of the calling, both of them. Even Jesus was scared of his calling. He goes to the desert to say, God, if you could do anything to take this cup from me, like 3 times he calls out, like I'm freaked out. Same with Jonah. Jonah's in fleeing from, and he actually says, throw me in the sea and it'll be calm for you. Yeah. And they didn't want to do that, but they finally throw him in the sea, and God prepared the fish for him, and he gets swallowed by the fish. And we talked about music though, and this reminded me of it was in Jonah 2. What spat him out was this is his song, his like saying in the fish. Yeah. Was when my soul fainted within me, I remembered the Lord, and my prayer went up to you in your holy temple. Those who regard worthless idols forsake their own mercy, but I will sacrifice to you with a voice of thanksgiving. So he's like in the belly, like the bottom, dude, and he says, I'm literally gonna sacrifice and thank you. Yeah. Like gratitude. And so the Lord spoke to the fish, and the fish vomited Jonah on the land. Like boom. There's something about like that. I think that's the depth, like that sacrifice. And I think that's where like whatever that sacrificial point is I think even in songs portray it, where people put their stuff behind it. Like you don't even understand the depths of this. Like I don't even understand. He's fleeing his calling, and he's like, you know what? There was this turning point where he's like, I'm sacrificing Thanksgiving to you. We're doing it. Or like, however it was. Yeah. That point, that I think that's like, that's like the oil that the Lord is looking for, Yeah. It's just interesting to me.
I think that because you talked about like even depression and stuff like that, and everything that you're describing, because you said it gets better. Like it does, it gets better. And everything you're describing is exactly that. But it doesn't get better on its own. It gets better with God. Yeah. It gets better with God. So even Jonah in the belly of the whale and stuff like that, it comes from a place of gratitude, not because he's saying like, and not gratitude for his situation or his circumstances, but gratitude for God and and God's goodness, and that he is sufficient and God is sufficient. And that's old school too. That's like Old Testament. Even in New Testament, it goes even further, like you said, because of the correlation between Jonah and Jesus, it goes even further. And yes, Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane faced the future of what he was about to go do, of physically being tortured on a cross, and just the amount of pain and everything, like, and he's like, yes, your will be done. In fact, I took that exact parable, all of that, like being in the garden, him being on his knees crying out, your will, Lord, not mine, but all of it, but even he was praying so hard that blood was coming out of his sweat and stuff like that. I took that story, rewrote it a little bit, put it in AI. I'm not kidding, bro. Good. And it created because I wasn't intending to do that with AI. I was intending to write a song using that as the premises of a song, because I understand that feeling of like, God, take this away from me if you can, but not my will, your will be done.
That's interesting.
And suffering.
But look at what caught. Like it wasn't the Roman Empire. It's that sacrifice, man.
Yeah.
That's like we're till this day
Maybe that's the song that I'll feature. In fact, maybe that's the song that I'll feature at the end of this, or maybe not, or maybe I'll save that. I don't know. I'm not making any promises right here because I don't know. I have to make that choice. But I thought that was really cool that you even mentioned that, because I used that into one of the AI songs. But I also wanted to point out that when your coping mechanism, because you're like, it gets better, you know, when your coping mechanism is God, bro, like that is the game changer. When I got married the second time, when my wife left, because she like, it was like abandonment, so she just like up and left. I went through depression and all this different stuff, and I had to give it to God. Like there's this verse that says like, if your spouse leaves you, give them to God so that you can have peace. And so I had to learn to like give this whole situation over to God so I could get peace. And I did get peace because I learned how to do that. I learned how to go through this storm and this thing and trust God and wrestle and just give it to him. In this story, she ends up coming back, okay? And so she comes back. I think everything, restoration is happening. I think forgiveness and everything. I think we're getting back together. I think this is awesome. But then she up and leaves again, just up again, and now she's gone. But I have learned something from the first time, how to trust God, and my coping mechanisms were all there from the first time she left. So instead of going into a spiral of depression and all of that stuff again, the second time I faced this challenge, immediately knowing and trusting in God and remembering where I got my peace from that I could not experience in any way except for that supernatural way that Jesus gives me peace. And I knew how to quickly do it, and I knew if I really wanted peace, how to get that peace, and that was give it to God, just like he says in Scripture. And so in just as a testament to like what you were saying, like in your own life, that you went through a lot of the stuff and you went through depression and all of that, but it got better. And the thing is I don't, when we have God, if you were to find yourself in another situation where depression is upon you or overloading in your life somehow because of just circumstances, I know for a fact, because of your relationship with God and whatever you went through, that testing trial, that you would have your Jonah moment again, and it wouldn't be this, it wouldn't be that you're immune to depression, but I think that you would not stay there as long. I think that you would get faster recovery. Yeah. You'd be aware of it. You would discern it more. Your prayers would be different. You are growing. You know what I mean? So it's not just like it happens and then you got to keep going through it. Like, I got to keep going through my season of depression now. No, you're always different and you're better. And it does get easier. It gets easier and easier and easier. Not that your situation changes, but just understanding God's role in your situation and who you are in Christ rather than who you are in your circumstance.
You gain keys over these things that like are you do. We're
preaching now. We just stepped away from music and we're like, let's preach.
Yeah, that's like good concepts, man.
Well,
not
man,
even concept. That's reality, man.
That's reality. Yeah. I wanna thank you for coming on and sharing your testimony and just kind of exploring some of this stuff with me and letting me ADD on some AI stuff. Let me ask you, do you consider yourself an introvert or an extrovert?
I would say introvert more than extrovert.
Introvert? Yeah. Okay. So I have a gift for you. As an introvert, though, I'm going to give you the introverted version of this gift. So the gift is... So it's not actually this. I'm encouraging people to do evangelism in different ways. And so I created a thing for introverts. So this is what I call introverted evangelism. And so what I've done is I placed a Bible inside of this for you. And the Bible has some material in here, and it has a card and some prayers and stuff. And it has a letter in there, too. And on the letter, it addresses the person that we expect is going to steal this. Introverted evangelism is you put all this in there, you set it out on your doorstep, and you wait for it to get stolen. And so when the person steals it, they open it up, they get a Bible, they get all the contents, the letter that lets them know, hey, the Bible's yours, you can keep it.
Nice.
And it kind of goes into, I hope that it plays a powerful role in some future things for your life. So I'm going to give this to you.
Nice.
So
man.
that is meant for you to do some introverted evangelism. Just stick it out on the doorstep of anything, church, the business, anywhere. Stick it out and just wait for it to get stolen. If you live in the country, it doesn't work really well.
Yeah.
But you live in a more urban area. I know it seems like, and I got that idea because I kept ordering stuff from Amazon and it kept getting stolen. And I was like, and I jokingly was like, man, I'm going to start ordering Bibles so when these people steal it. And I'm like, actually, that's a really good idea. So I started this, and it's just a seed of faith, just something for you to plan out. And if someone actually steals it, let me know. Maybe they'll come back like a week later and like, hey man, I just want you to know I stole that Bible and this is what happened. And maybe there's a whole testimony that happens from it. But you don't got to do anything. You literally introverted evangelism.
Look
you
at
just
that,
set it
man.
out and you just walk away, man.
I'll do it.
All right, and I actually have another gift for you. Here's a Seed of Faith pin for coming on. Me
Cool,
and my
man.
daughter handmade those, so you can
look
pick
at you
one
guys,
out.
man. This is nice.
Yes.
Awesome. Appreciate that.
You're welcome. And then, sorry to all my other guests that didn't get a pin. We didn't make them yet, so and sorry if I didn't give you guys gifts either. Like we're figuring this out. I do have this, so I have your Flatfoot 56. So I'm going to give you Still Wrapped, baby.
Oh,
Still
man.
Wrapped. A Fickles Lot CD.
Wrapped. I haven't seen a wrap like this in forever.
I know.
Jeez.
It's still in the cellophane.
Look at that.
And so you can definitely open it. It's not meant for you to be like a collector's item. It's just meant for you to jam on something on the way back, on your drive back.
Sweet, man.
And then you can hear the stuff I'm talking about. Like you're like,
yeah.
God, girls. You know, whatever it is, you can skip the girls ones, I guess.
Yeah.
They're not like that. They're not like that bad.
Yeah.
But that's for you, man. And
look at that, man.
And that's it for the gifts for you. I do want to also point people towards you if there's any way that you want people to follow you. I know I can send people to Lamont Church if you guys want to check out Lamont Church.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic little church. I don't know how much more people they can handle.
Yep, the Table Church.
Bring it in. And that's where you can see you and your wife helping leading worship. So if you guys want to check that out, it's in Lamont.
We got a YouTube.
Yep. And so that's one way people can find you. Is there anything else you want to share? Instagram? Anything else? It's up to you.
Well, now that I'm off all the social medias.
Oh yeah, actually.
But I will say, get a hold of me somehow because my wife and I we started our own business, which we didn't even talk about, but we do AV stuff, so all kinds of like different scenario, like helping churches. There's live streams that are still terrible these days. We'll make it simple and make it real nice and just clean. And I do stuff. I do
figure some of this stuff
AV
out.
stuff. My wife's doing interior decorating stuff, so
Nice.
she's got the eye for decoration. So find us. The company's called Then Create. And so we got our
Creates?
Then Creates.
Okay.
Yep. And so we started that, and we got our own music. We got our own Marrow. That's been just a fun side project.
Is that like you and the wifey?
And me and wifey.
Gotcha. Cool.
And
cool.
it's a lot more like beats and just more chill. And,
is there a way that we can find that on YouTube?
Yeah, we're on all the social media.
Okay, so
we're on all
give me that stuff.
Spotify.
And I'm gonna put it in the description of this video. So
Will
I'm
do.
gonna put to the wifey band project, to your new business, all of that. I'll stick it in there so people
Sweet.
can. And I'll put in Lamont to La Church so people can figure out.
Yep, everywhere to find me.
Yeah, and then
and us.
Thank you again so much for coming on. I really do appreciate it. I appreciate you sharing your story. I appreciate you just, again, letting me like ADD with you on some of this stuff. We always just sit there and talk about all kinds of random stuff when we're at church. And I'm like, man, we should just do this on a podcast. They're like, we should just ADD on a podcast together.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that you joined me for this ADD session.
Yeah.
And thank you. And then we'll have to get your wife on here. For sure, and like get her story, because I do want to do a whole episode specifically about church hurt. And I know I could have got her on the worship stuff too, but I pulled you in on for the worship because of the band history and stuff like that. But I do want to talk to her about church hurt, and that could be an excellent future episode.
Yeah, I agree.
Because there's just a lot of that going on, and I think that we need to start getting church hurt people back in church.
And understanding the redemption. So, that's going to be a good story.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to that one.
So that would be a good one for sure. Well, other than that, thank you guys so much for joining us on this podcast. We appreciate your time. If you guys get anything out of these faith dialogues, if you guys are blessed by it, encouraged, challenged, any of that, be sure to be sure to share it with somebody. Leave a comment. We want to know how this stuff impacts you or just your thoughts. And definitely subscribe if I didn't say subscribe already. So like, share, comment, subscribe. And then also we'll leave a way for anyone that wants to join with us financially through a financial gift in the description as well, so we can keep doing this stuff, keep putting it out there. And then keep an eye out for our giveaways. We're still doing our giveaways. Go to www.msmink.com to check out our current giveaways and any other future projects we got going on. We do have like merchandise stuff we're starting to have for sale now to help bring in more donations and help encourage that kind of stuff. So we got jewelry and shirts and all kinds of stuff. So that's pretty exciting. That'll be on the website. Check that out. Is that everything? Did I think of it all? I hope I did. Musicians. So embarrassing. All right. Well, thank you guys so much. And you guys have a great time. Thank you. Stay blessed. Keep your faith in action. And we love you. Enjoy your weekend.
For those who are led by the Spirit of God, as the children of God, the Spirit you received does not make you slaves, so that you live in fear again. Rather, the Spirit you received brought about your adoption, and by Him we cry, Abba, Father. The Spirit Himself testifies with our spirit that we are God's children. Now if we are children, then we are heirs, heirs of God and co-heirs with Christ, if indeed we share in His sufferings, in order that we may also share in His glory. We are God's children. For those who are led by the Spirit of God are the children of God. The Spirit you receive does not make you slaves, so that you live in fear again, again. Rather, the Spirit you receive brought about your adoption, and by Him we cry. The Spirit you receive does not make you slaves, so that make you slaves. Though we are God's children. Make you slaves, so that you live in fear again. Rather, the Spirit you received brought about your adoption, and by Him we cry, Abba, Father. The Spirit Himself testifies with our spirit that we are God's children. Now if we are children, then we are heirs, heirs of God, and co-heirs with Christ, if indeed we share in His suffering,